poem I'm about to read for y'all comes out of my new and fifth book, ELOHI or UNITSI, Poems, 2013 to 2018. The poem is on page 10 and 11 in the book. This is called Conundrum. As a twiggy little boy of 9, I was so curious about the bumblebees hovering over blood-red roses, flesh-pink roses, bushes filled with pale yellow honeysuckles that grew in my grandmother's yard. So curious, when I reached out to touch one, that bumblebee stung me with its needle-like tail, leaving behind a mark, swollen red, painful, on the caramel brown of my arm. Never touched another one since. There are so many bumblebees back then, practically in swarms, every spring, pollination time. Now I'm older, a man of 52, taller, darker skinned, closer to chocolate than caramel, still twiggy though. Another spring's arrived, and something's missing from the big ecological picture. Absence leaves behind a mark, a conundrum. Where have all the bumblebees gone? I hear different styles of music, but no distinctive droning buzz fills my ears. I see all manners of insects fly in the air, but no visible signs of the little pollinators paying any visits to East Oakland's roses. Extinction leaves behind a mark, a conundrum. Who will produce honey when the bumblebees are gone? That poem was called Conundrum. It's my own personal rumination on the slow disappearance of bees from the world in the past 5 years. When I first wrote this in 2015, I saw a dozen bees at the most. Now it's the year 2020. We're in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and I only see one bee or none at all. Blame that on a funny little thing called global warming. And Conundrum came from my new book, ELOHI or UNITSI, now available from Conviction to Change Publishing. From this computer mic to yo ears, I'm Dee Allen. Thanks for listening.
Beautiful woman. I took this beautiful woman home to share our Halloween haul. But when she removed her Halloween face, she revealed herself a witch. She cackled with such utter glee, for she had most certainly fooled me. And her rotting teeth rattled as she spoke. I've rambled to rouse spirits to spook your soul, to take a broom and jokes to juke. Oh, it was a murder of a date. And I feared my life to be at stake. Her eyeballs danced in her hollow sockets, and her words burned like Halloween rockets, and her fingernails screeched like the air. She was a specter on a tear. Oh, she took me on a frightful ride, disguised as a disheveled bride, through the graveyards to a spooky party where crows and ravens were eating hearty upon a corpse that withered and moaned. It were enough to make a grizzly groan. Oh, she cavorted with dancing skeletons who with all their kind would never weigh a ton. And they all were laughing quite out of tune, and each took a turn to croon, all to the rattling of a hollow jukebox. No use telling them to pick up their socks. They drank to toast their saints, each her and each him, by drinking blood that they had collected and feeding the bats with children's eyeballs. And feeding the bats with children's eyeballs. Oh. While calling the rats with wild wolf calls and floating in space upside down to make their smiles look like frowns. Oh, I found myself a bottle of Captain's rum and swizzled the entire bottle down to hide the terror before my eyes. This hell would frighten even the wise. I woke up under a gravestone that said my name ever so grave. I died on Halloween in 46. And then I moved. I rattled like a pile of bricks. Here I was now, made of bare bodies and sticks. So if you go down to the trick or treatery on Halloween night, you better be prepared. For should you ever meet up with that old witch, you'll wind up with an itch you can't even ever stretch. Oh, it was a murder of a date, and I died on Halloween 46. Oh.
From my latest book, From Ecstasis. This is called Beggar Bee, and it comes from my childhood. I grew up in a little village where bees were everywhere, believe me, by the millions. At first, a little lonely, despite the birth of dew and meadow falling upward into morning, and a boy sprawled on his back, watching clouds, crushing petal and stalk, and a spider scrambling for her life between his feet. He too lifted by the flood of day. True, at first she's a little lonely, entering the strange world of nectar and pollen, crawling into petals that conceal the secrets of day. Oh, that endless search for milk and honey, hidden always within the sway of the seedling breeze, the love we bear, we endure. And how to be lonely, beggar bee, the eternally recurring warmth, the buzz and sigh and curling light. Welcome home, my sweet, my helpless, to the belly of time, to these unfolding petals where it all begins, and a single drop of honey to lure us in. Because at last, the poor ones, lonely nevermore, are children of the meadow. Home is where the sweetness is, and to die in the joy of that moment, gone now, gone forever, and then to open, to awaken, pollen on your legs, beggar bee, and the richness of an hour that is, a flower wilting in the heat of noon, the rising fragrance of honey and petal and love.
This poem has been published, and it's a sweet little poem, which I'll dedicate to Fiona Tinway Lam, because I was reading her book when it was born. Edmund's Skytrain Station. Reading Fiona Tinway Lam's Enter the Chrysanthemum, I sit by a door on the Skytrain to Vancouver. At Edmund's station, the door opens. A large, uniformed man steps in, reaches round the glass, presents me with a small, blushing rose. Have a great day, he says, and is gone. I hold the rose high, smile at others, nod my thanks to him as we sail away. I'm a poet. Did he know it? Today, I shall leave a path of rose petals.
I'm not going to read one of my own tonight. I had an unusual thing happen this week. I found a poem in the park on a bench, and it says page 11 on the page, but it doesn't have an author. So I'm hoping somebody might recognize this and can tell me who it is. Because how often, right, do you find poems in the park? It's called Love. Love is all there is. Everything begins with love and ends with love. Love is all you need. When it fills your body, you don't need anything else. The funny thing, the joke, is we already have it. It's there right in you, but you've hidden it away. You spend your time trying to find it in other places, other people, or buying things, but you can't find it that way. Just put your hands on your chest, heart cavity, and breathe deeply. Feel that cavity warm up. That's the love. It's been there all the time. You just have to tune into it by slowing down, being quiet, breathing and turning inward, and you'll become aware of it. It's there. It's yours. You are love. Get it?
The poem is called Spilled Water. I follow his mother in the rain, over the curb, under the wind chimes, from the plastic bag, the red one, lying in the drain, curdled with phlegm, the Chinese part of town. The peeling arch finds bits of color on the pavement, characters around the block, a fading gold, still recognizable, those men who come for the taste of pork buns. The jewelry shop is narrow between powdered ginger and incense. A carpet of mandarin peels, squelch. The ring is too big. The rock in the middle skews a few degrees to the left. Crushed rubies on either side stare like eyes. It slipped off that time I swung around, crackling onto the kitchen floor. Mother had been showing me her way of shaping pork buns. Caked in flour, I held it to the light, dough rising between crevices. Mother doesn't like the taste of red and gold. 香气, from the village, where skies were mossy, creeks clear, where father caught fish with his father's net. For the pigs, he made a bamboo slingshot himself, with a spring that launched small, sharp rocks. The colors of marriage, mother said. Colors her mother said, beautiful, auspicious. To join father's family, to leave her own. Colors promising gold and suns, flowing red between her legs. His mother's hand is on my arm. Watch him do it. The man behind the counter bends lower, goggles steaming. Never leave gold. The stink of sewage spills inside. Street lamps turn on. He is waiting for us. The resizing is complete. We leave through the red arch. I touch the warped band with my thumb, a pinch. He reaches for me. I feel the calluses in his palm from pounding the door frame too small for the door. The car smells like the oiled pork he ordered, the viscous kind that sticks to the back of the throat. How does it feel? His mother asked from the back seat. I used to wear a red scarf all school children wore, a corner of the flag, the blood of the martyrs. Mother once told me, daughters are spilled water. Thank you.
Okay, this is one called On the Way South to Margaret River. Margaret River being a fairly enchanting little town in Western Australia, south of Perth. In a battered, borrowed pickup, speeding on a winter afternoon south to Margaret River, talking over what had set our friend, an envied golden youth, on his quick decline into alcohol, drugs we hadn't heard of, and the doubling of his weight. A sudden thump on the passenger side, flash of a substantial body thrown into the roadside scrub, brake squeal, shimmying the skid on the soft shoulder, and a moment's stillness before we opened doors. Stark fear we'd see a woman, child, some person broken, dead in dust-shrouded greenery. Distressing enough for us city boys, a young kangaroo, wide-eyed in shock, dead beyond any doubt, beyond any hope. The people who lived here long ago would have given thanks to the spirit of the animal for the gift of its life and preserving theirs. This unintended killing left us standing helpless over it. We picked him up, legs and haunch, neck and shoulders, lowered him gently into the pickup. Acknowledging our general incompetence, we drove to a butcher in Margaret River. Alas, poor Roo, where be your elastic bounce now, your leaping gambols, where your raspy old man grunts? A family somewhere in the bush to miss and mourn you? And where is our lost friend, whose flashes of merriment set our table on a roar, whom we also could not help? A good day brought to such regrets, despondent, ineffectual apologies to golden friend and tawny Roo.